During the COVID-19 pandemic, there were really two things that spread across the globe. One, of course, was the virus itself, but the other, a massive storm of conflicting information. In this explainer, we're going to dig into that clash between conspiracy and science. This was the question that was everywhere, right? It totally split opinions. It flooded our social media feeds. Was this a real, genuine health crisis? Or was there something else going on behind the scenes? Let's get into it. Because what we saw was, right alongside the virus, another kind of outbreak was happening. A full-blown pandemic of theories. Just an absolute explosion of alternative explanations for what was going on in the world. And let's be clear, this wasn't some fringe issue. These ideas fueled a huge global debate. But, and this is super important to note, none of these narratives were ever actually confirmed by major scientific bodies or international health experts. Okay, so what were these theories all about? What were people actually claiming? Let's take a quick look at the biggest, most common ideas that popped up during the pandemic. So, one of the most widespread theories was that the whole pandemic was just made up, fabricated. And the motive? Well, the claim was that it was all about controlling the world's population, or maybe to make a ton of money from vaccines. Then you have the bioweapon theory. This one claimed the virus wasn't natural at all, but that it was engineered in a lab. And the blame got pointed in a few different directions, sometimes at a lab in Wuhan, China, and other times at a U.S. facility, Fort Detrick. And kind of a variation of all this was the idea of a plandemic. This was the belief that the entire crisis wasn't just a hoax, but a pre-planned, orchestrated event designed to completely reshape global society. So with all of these really dramatic claims flying around, you have to ask the question, what does the scientific evidence actually tell us? All right, let's shift gears now. Let's move away from the theories and look at the actual findings from the scientific community. This right here is the core of the conflict. On one side, you've got the claim of a lab-made bioweapon. But on the other, you have the scientific consensus. Researchers from all over the world looked at the virus's genetic code, and they concluded that it came from nature, finding no signs that it had been artificially modified. And here's the bottom line. While the idea of a lab leak was definitely investigated, it was never confirmed. To this day, there's been no direct evidence published by any major scientific institution to support that theory. This brings us to a related problem, and one that's just as serious. You see, the spread of the virus was matched by the spread of something else, an information virus, or as the experts call it, an infodemic. And this isn't just a catchy phrase. The World Health Organization itself officially declared an infodemic. They defined it as a massive wave of fake news, myths, and just plain misinformation that was doing serious damage by eroding public trust in science and health officials. So how does something like this even happen? Well, it usually starts on social media, where conspiracies and fakes can spread like wildfire. Then sometimes you'd see political arguments between countries pick up these theories to try and influence people, creating this environment of just widespread disinformation. So what's the big deal? Why does all this matter so much? Well, because this breakdown of trust had very real, tangible consequences for everyone's health. I mean, think about it. All this disinformation made it harder to prepare for the pandemic. It hurt vaccination campaigns, it created a lot of distrust in science, and at the end of the day, it meant fewer people were following the official health advice that was designed to keep us all safe. This really gets to the heart of it all. Like the slide says, these stories weren't really built on facts. They were built on emotions, on our fears, and sometimes on political motives. And in a crisis, those are the kinds of stories that can really take hold because they tap into our deepest anxieties. So when all is said and done, after countless investigations by the global scientific community, the evidence to back up the claims of a fake pandemic or an engineered bioweapon, it's just not there. And that leaves us with a really crucial final question. It's not just about this one event, but about any crises we might face in the future. In those moments of huge uncertainty and anxiety, how do we, as people and as a society, get better at separating the hard, verifiable facts from the powerful but baseless fears?